Hello, everyone, and welcome again to the Wake Up and Dream podcast. We've got a special treat for you today. I'm Kelly here, and I'm here with Lisa, and we have a special guest, one of my favorite gals that I have recently become friends with. And I'll tell you a little bit about that story, but Christie Deiter is here. She is a mom mentor, health and wellness coach, and just loves to help moms find their identity through developing their self-image and style, and creating that exercise plan, and really just being that mentor, that buddy, that friend to inspire you in your journey as a mom who wants to design a life that they love, that they can feel proud of and confident. And working with her is just, I'm sure, a delight to have just that partner to help you through life. And I'll tell you a little bit about how I met Christie, if you will, quotation marks, met. We haven't actually met in person, but it was so funny. I kind of have this love-hate relationship with social media sometimes because it can just be a downer. There's so many negative things out there and just, you just get so frustrated. But through social media, a friend of mine recommended, because I want to write a book, which is funny. Lisa, we were just talking about this moments ago about writing a book. And I said, I want to write this book. And she referred me over to this gentleman on social media, like, follow him. He's great. He's actually a coach. He teaches you how to develop the book, how to put it in order, how to publish it, all the things. Jump into his Instagram, check him out, and see what he has to offer. Well, at the time, he was offering this short little masterclass that I think there was maybe 10 of us that jumped in, right, Christie? I think on our Zoom call that afternoon. And like any good host does or should, they always say in the comments, say hello and tell me where you're from. Well, I hear everybody's like saying where they're from, and I see this Christie gal say Kentucky. I'm like, wait, I live in Kentucky. Who lives in Kentucky besides me? And so we kind of had a side chat. And then, of course, with the wonderful, amazing social media, you start to just find someone. You're like, wait, who's this girl? I wrote her name down, and we found each other and started chatting. And I think the first time, Christy, we chatted, it was into the night. Like, it was well into 11, 12 p.m. And we were talking about who we were, how we knew each other, like Kentucky, and writing a book. And we just dove right in. So that's my story with Christie. And we just sort of started following each other, and we were inspired by each other, and we've stayed connected. And so that's why I just had to have her join us on the Wake Up and Dream podcast, because she is just a gem. I love you. So without any further ado, this is Christie Deiter. Say hello. Maybe introduce yourself a little bit. I've kind of been talking because I'm so excited to have you here.
Yeah, no, I'm so honored to be here. It's been, I think that was almost a year ago, Kelly, that we were on that call, which I can't believe. And yeah, it was just kind of, I think I'm with you with the social media thing. You don't anticipate ever connecting the way that you can in this space, but it's real. They're real friendships. They're real connections. And just because we haven't met in person, it doesn't negate or take away from that. And so I am so grateful for you. And I am so grateful to be here today to talk about motherhood.
I know. Tell us about motherhood and what brought you into this coaching niche and helping other moms with their wellness and exercise and mindset and developing that self-image.
Yes. So it was April of 2021. I would say that I went full speed ahead in exploring what coaching could be, what I thought identity as a mother for me meant, and what this looked like. Little backstory about me. January 2019, I quit my job. I was pregnant with our first daughter. We found out about that time that she had Turner syndrome. We went from like feeling this was a normal pregnancy to oh my gosh, this is scary. I don't know what Turner syndrome is. You go from being 18 weeks pregnant and learning that you have like a 2% rate of survival that she'd even be born. And then if she's born, heart conditions, digestive issues, they're really small. They can have physical deformities, this laundry list of things that we were preparing for. And so at that time, my husband and I decided that stopping the work that I was doing, I was an educator for hair product brands, and I was behind the chair. So I traveled a lot and around the country in the Midwest, and we decided to just pull that back. I went full-time with our catering company and was just kind of leaning into this position of being a mom, being available, as we navigated this. Fast forward then, my first daughter, Josephine, is thriving. She's stunning. You would never know she had Turner's. She didn't have to have heart surgery. She has no health issues.
All of these so things. Wonderful. Yay.
She has one kidney. She operates life with one
kidney.
But,
absolutely incredible.
My angel, like just
miracle.
Amazing. She is. We have since had 2 more daughters. So I have Josephine is 3, almost 4. Adeline is 2. She will be 3 in June. She was born in the middle of the pandemic. So that part of my story was I was a, stay-at-home mom. I worked with the catering company. Then, as we all know, the world shut down March 13th, 2020. And then I was home, like not leaving the house. Your whole world really changes. We all can speak to that. But then I was pregnant and trying to navigate what this pandemic meant. How do you give birth in a pandemic? What does this look like? And she was born June 29th, 2020. So it was kind of as things were coming down a little bit, but we were still isolated. I mean, I was in full isolation mode for that full year. I don't think I stepped foot in a restaurant, a grocery store, nothing. I was in my home with these 2 kids. The other caveat to that story is that we made the decision to close our catering business because of the pandemic the day after she was born. So we had that happening, which then catapulted us to make a move to Kentucky. My husband went back to being an executive chef for corporate instead of, the capacity that we were doing with corporate catering that was kind of our niche in the world. So all of a sudden I'm moving with a 6-month-old and a 1.5, a 2-year-old when we moved February of 2021. So I suffered from postpartum depression. We had a lot of stressors that were going on. And in April of 2021, I was feeling stagnant. My body felt heavy. I felt frumpy. And I will also say that I was somebody who I was very confident in my skin. I was very confident as who I was, but I felt blah. And I just didn't know how to get myself out. I was moved to a community where we didn't know anybody. I had no physical people. And I started to lean on the social media world. And I started to explore what Instagram could look like. I started writing more. I'm a writer. And exploring what this looked like. And in that process, I found Beachbody, which I know many of you may be familiar with. But it got my body into physical action, which for I was somebody who studied personal development. I've been studying it since the early 2000s. So what are we at 20 years or something?
Please don't date us, Christie. We're not that old.
But I never put my body into action. That was always the missing component for me. And when I was exploring this identity as a mom, what do I want to feel? Who do I want to be? How do I want to show up for my kids? I don't want to be tired. I want to be on the floor running with them. I want to keep up with these toddlers. I want to do all of these things. And I want to feel magnetic in my skin. So I started to pull on all of these things that I loved. Those were journaling, meditation, reading, and a new passion for me was exercise. That was the missing piece that I had for 20 years that I didn't do. I was like, well, I can go hike a mountain. I don't need to exercise. I can do all these things. And I could, but now I do it stronger. I do it better. And I just physically can show up for my children better. When I started to figure all of this out, that was when I was like, I have to share this. I have to get active in sharing this with women, because we lose ourselves so easily in motherhood. We put everybody else first, and you can't do that. We know it, we hear it, but we don't do it. We don't do it. So that is what pushed me to say, I've got to teach these women how you show up. You get dressed, you put on the makeup, you put on the clothes, and you show up, because then you can do everything else.
Oh, I love this, Christie. So good. So many things about your story. I know our listeners are going to be able to just so relate. The pregnancy, the move, the not feeling like you have an identity, like you just kind of lose yourself, and how we, I put on some new clothes that I'm taking to the beach with me on my Labri trip. And, I look in the mirror and you have thoughts immediately, like either they're good or they're bad, but they're thoughts, perceptions, critiques of what you see in that mirror. And that you take with you in every other area of your life and your relationships and your confidence and all the things. It's, how do I feel about that woman in the mirror? So I love that you dove into that physical well-being and really, saw that as important. So take us now to, like, how have you helped women, and tell us a little bit more about this Thrive method.
Yes. So the Thrive method, I'll just start there with what the Thrive method is, and then I'll kind of give you a couple case studies that I've worked with where I've saw incredible change, like kind of blew me away. But the Thrive method is my own creation. This is a 21-day course where I will walk you through it. It is a self-led program. You have the option to always work with me directly through that process if you so choose. But I have also found that women and moms, we have to find our own space for this. So the way that you want to bring that space in, you have the freedom to do that. It's 21 days straight through. I always recommend that you start it the start of the month on a Monday. So whatever the first Monday of the month is, because when we look in the calendar, it physically and mentally gives us that space of like, I'm stepping into something new and I'm giving this a go, and I'm going to see it all the way through. And it's only 21 days, as long as sometimes that can feel to people. In the grand scheme of things, this is only 21 days. So I look at it, the Thrive method is, it's like this kickstart. If you're feeling stuck, you're feeling stagnant, you're feeling flatlined, you have 21 days to kickstart and try on new habits, new perspectives, new intentions, so that then you go into day 22, day 23, day 24, you just keep going. It's that habit building opportunity that you have. There are 3 modules or 3 things that we look at in the Thrive method. So the first week is all about vision. You go big. There are no limits. There are no hesitations. You don't do this for anybody else. Nobody is reading this but you. And you get really clear about the expansiveness of who you want to become, who you want to be, and honoring who you are. I think something that can also get lost in this process, that women who are reaching for transformation, then it's like, well, who I am isn't good enough. And that's not what this is about. It's saying, this is who I am, and let's expand. Let's go for those big dreams, and let's go on something better, because you're already fabulous where you are. So let's go to that next level. The second week is when we go deep. This is when we start addressing and identifying limiting beliefs, challenges, all of those negative self-talks that get in there, that your brain starts to convince you that what you're doing is wrong and this isn't going to work for you. We start addressing what those look like. One of the biggest topics that I've been told was eye-opening for people was our relationships, and how the relationships that we have with people start to metamorphosize as we transform. And sometimes those relationships carry over with us, sometimes they don't. But we kind of talk about how we navigate that. And then the third week is all about embodiment. That is when we build the routine that supports the woman you want to become. I will walk you through your morning block, your midday block, and your evening block. And we break it down hour by hour, how you are going to show up for your day. And I know that people kind of bristle at that sometimes, like, well, I don't schedule and that takes away spontaneity. And that is so not true, because when you schedule it and you say, I have 30 minutes to show up for my workout, you do it for 30 minutes. I have, an hour on Mondays to do to clean the bathrooms. You do it in an hour. You create more freedom in your day when you schedule it out. And you also schedule in your breaks. You schedule in I'm going to go have coffee with Kelly at Wednesday at 2:00, and you show up for it because it's in your schedule. So that is what we do in that third week, so that you walk away with the tools and you walk away with a schedule that's going to support who you want to become.
Oh, I just love this. This is so cool, Christie, because it's so funny. It like ties into what we just did on our last episode. I'm not sure how this all lays out timing wise, but we even just talked about having a morning routine, like, and how important it was. And some of the important things that you mentioned were literally in the things that I talked about, was affirmations and journaling and reading and exercise, and like tying that into your day and making it important for you. And that's where like I love your passion there of encouraging women. Like, it's about you and what you want. And it's like, if our listeners are listening and have even listened to one of our episodes, you know why we've asked Christie to be here, because I'm almost like hearing ourselves with like Christie, because she's talking about all the things that we talk about, empowerment and, you know, wanting more for our lives. And I just love these little 3 steps, 21 days, and you guide your mom through this step by step. And I feel like a lot of us, we just feel lost. Like, where do I start? So overwhelmed. Healthy eating, exercise, journaling. Oh my gosh, I don't know where to make the time. But I love how you reference scheduling it in. And if you can help someone do that, it makes it easier. Like, just like scheduling coffee with a friend, you're gonna show up, you know, like, don't not show up for a friend, right? So don't not show up for yourself. It's so, so important. I love that you can take your clients through that in such a short amount of time, because we do feel overwhelmed, you know, and it's too much, especially if we're not feeling motivated, if we're tired. You know, it's hard to become motivated, you know. And you mentioned too, like, exercise is so important. How do you feel like that has really, is that the like main motivation piece? Have you felt that that's made the most difference for you? And for your clients, is that kind of like your most, I don't know, go to? I always see you. I love watching you on social media, because you're always up so early doing your exercises. And it's like, dang it, if Christie can do it, I can do it.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, like I said, that really is, for me, was the missing caveat. You know, you can read all the books, you can do all the journaling, you can have all the conversations, but if you aren't physically putting your body into action, you won't change. You won't. I didn't change for 20 years. I'm trying to think when it would have been, like 2015, probably. I would want to go out of my condo door to go to go work in a coffee shop, to put myself in a public place. And it would take me 4 hours to get the courage up to go out that door. I figured it out. I got myself through that, and I got my way to that door. But when I started several years later to really put myself into action, my physical vessel not only started to change, my energy went up, my determination to do things. It's like you show up for yourself in that capacity. And then it's like, well, what else can I show up for? What else can I do? Then you start to feel unstoppable. And that was where the blend of Beachbody and my coaching just became this synergistic circle, I guess, because I then have the tools to walk you through how to implement exercise into your daily routine seamlessly. Because as mothers, going to the gym, working with a personal trainer, taking all the time that it does to do all those things, to show up at a specific time for a schedule for a class or something, doesn't always work. But if you're at your home and all you have to do is put on your clothes and walk downstairs and hit play, it only takes you 30 minutes. And that's the life-changing piece of it, that you can add the one more thing because you've planned for it, you've set the intention, you've tapped into the feeling of it, and then you physically are moving your body.
Yes, I love that, because it is about moving your body and just seeing where that takes you, because we talk about goals and, I want to lose 30 pounds, or, I want to fit into the size 2 jeans. Sometimes that's so overwhelming. But it seems like you just take your client into the mindset of, let's just move your body. Can we just do that first and really get it where you can feel the results, the energy? And I feel like when I was going through the infertility and the depression, and I started to like, what's next? I need something else. How am I going to pull myself out of this? I really feel, there were so many things with, reading and journaling, but putting my body into moving with a 10-minute, 30-minute video on my little laptop and free weights was truly the energy giving piece. And I love that you've incorporated that as well for your mamas, for your clients.
Yes. So as far as like women who work with me, some women choose to just do the coaching. They choose just to do the Thrive method, or the other capacities that you can work with me in the coaching sense. I do Voxer coaching, which I don't know if people are familiar with Voxer, but it is like a walkie-talkie app. And the thing that's really cool about Voxer is that it's like having a coach in your back pocket. So as you go through your day, or you start working through things that we're discussing, you can just like, oh my God, I had this light bulb moment, and leave me a voice memo. And then we can kind of jive back and forth that way. It's how I work with my coaches, and I love it. So of course it was a natural thing for me to want to implement. And then there's also the high level, like you're all in, you're going big, you're going strong, where we do one-on-one coaching with Voxer, with Zoom calls, so that we have that face-to-face connection to take that deeper dive and really get the plan laid out on how we're going to move that needle for you. And then the other capacity that women choose to work with me is through the Beachbody platform, or Body, as we've just rebranded this month. But if your main goal is to just really identify your health and wellness, there is always personal coaching that lives in that, but it's specifically around that unique little area. I have women who do both, who do Thrive method, who do Beachbody, and those women take the world by the seat of the pants and light it on fire. And they have seen incredible transformation in those 21 days, where they're showing up differently. They're changing things. They're thinking about how they want to work differently. They're exploring relationships with their marriage and their friendships. It's incredible to watch. And one woman I worked with, she was actually my very first client to go through the Thrive method. She walked out of that 21 days with got approached by a company for a new job that she wasn't even interviewing for. It was a significant raise, significant new benefits, and she is still working that new job today. And she was like, if I hadn't done that program, I wouldn't have even explored the possibilities of what that could be for me and my family.
Oh, so powerful. And, that just speaks to the truth of how we show up for ourselves has ripple effects on what happens with our relationships, with our opportunities, things that come up, because we are showing up for ourselves. And I think that is
Absolutely.
so, and it speaks to the value of what a coach can do for someone, is because we don't know how to show up for ourselves. Like, we really don't.
No.
And so,
No.
so having someone as your guide, as your support, as your cheerleader, as your, come on, girl, you got this. We need that. We need those people in our corner, because it is a journey. And then you get to the point where you're like, yes, I believe this for myself now. And I don't need to, be Voxering Christie, every day. But that's a journey. That's a definite journey of growth. So I totally love your passion and what you're seeing firsthand, the impact that it's having on women, and how they see themselves and how they're showing up in other areas of their life as well. Wow. So Christie, so how can our listeners connect with you if they're wanting to, learn more, get more information about what you do?
Instagram is really the best place to find me, to easily connect, at Christie Deiter. I'm sure you'll have it in the show notes or wherever those magical things appear. But once you get to Instagram, then there's the links to my own direct coaching up level. And then, there's capacities that we can work in there. And I'm happy to share all of that information with you guys too, so that they can just directly connect this way. But yes, Instagram, follow me on there, connect. I love to have conversations in the DMs and the comments and all of that stuff. So don't be strangers, as they say.
That's right. That's right. Everybody is a stranger until they become your friend, right? I mean,
exactly.
We're
and you never know where you can find those friends on social media when you just connect and have that organic conversation, and you just never know. Like, that's what I love about, I don't know, in a weird way, what happened with the pandemic is that we had to somehow connect with people. We had to find a different way. And so, I mean, if it wasn't for all that, and I don't know, just the steps that your life takes you, like if I went way back into anything in my past that maybe would not have happened, I may not honestly have met Lisa. I wouldn't know Christie. So it's like, even though you might be in a hard place right now, an unknown, you're tired, like, just keep going. Keep doing the next best thing today, to get you closer to where you want to be. So Christie, one last thing, just to leave our listeners with something amazing. I know your favorite quote is, life is not about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. Just leave us with one little nugget that would inspire others, and mamas in general.
Be bold. Be bold.
Oh, yes. I love that.
Don't be afraid to try. Don't be afraid to ask the question, and don't be afraid to just give it a shot. Because if we live in fear and always wonder, you'll always wonder. If you try and you fall down, at least you know, and you can redirect. So be bold and do the thing that you want to do.
Oh, that's so good. Christie, thank you so much for being with us. You're just a dream.
Thank
I just
you.
love connecting with you. Thank you for being here with us. Listeners, I hope that you are just as inspired as we are. If you want to connect with Christie, again, we will have those that information there in the show notes. And until next time, wake up and dream.